They should ask themselves what is the historical mistake. If they want to attack Mr. Vajpayee, I leave it to the BJP to do so. We are too polite to attack Mr. Vajpayee.
That I belong to the Henry VIII school.
Under intense fire, Shashi Tharoor furiously backpedaled, tweeting, "I was raised in an India where you're expected to speak kindly of people when they die. Musharraf was an implacable enemy and was responsible for Kargil, but he did work for peace with India in his own interest between 2002 and 7. He was no friend, but he saw strategic benefit in peace, as did we." But the BJP launched a multi-pronged attack on the Congress, with Union Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia taking to social media platform Twitter, attacking both Digvijay Singh and Shashi Tharoor, saying, "An Indian National Party's leader first cast doubts on a soldier's act of bravery in Pulwama. Then another one eulogizes Pervez Musharraf, who was responsible for the Kargil war. दुश्मनों के साथ हाथ से हाथ जोड़ो अभियान," he asked.
दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है, एक तरफ कांग्रेस पार्टी बेबुनियाद मुद्दों पर धरना देती है, संसद नहीं चलने देती है, और उसके एक नेता पाकिस्तान के पूर्व राष्ट्रपति जिन्होंने आतंकवाद को पूरा भारत के खिलाफ और सेना का दुरुपयोग किया, उसको शांति दूत कहते हैं। हम इसकी भर्त्सना करते हैं। इट इज अटरली कंडेमनेबल।
Union Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar also targeted the Congress through Shashi Tharoor's tweet, saying it best described the Congress that finds peace in a person who repeatedly stabbed India in the back. Rashid Alvi of the Congress hit back.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी का ये इल्ज़ाम कि कांग्रेस पाकिस्तान की बात करती है, वो भूल जाते हैं कि पाकिस्तान के 2 टुकड़े कांग्रेस पार्टी ने किए हैं। 65 की जंग हो, 71 की जंग हो, उन जंगों के अंदर कांग्रेस की सरकारें थीं जिन्होंने पाकिस्तान को सबक सिखाया है।
But it wasn't just Shashi Tharoor who was in the line of fire. PDP chief and former chief minister of the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir, Mehbooba Mufti, also lauded the role of Pervez Musharraf, saying he was perhaps the only Pakistani general who genuinely tried to address the Kashmir issue. He wanted a solution according to the wishes of the people of J&K and acceptable to India and Pakistan. But experts insist Musharraf's so-called 4-point formula on Kashmir was unacceptable even in Pakistan and was a trap being set for India in 2006-7. But do our political leaders walk into these traps set by Pakistan eyes wide shut? Bureau Report, India Today. So was Pakistan's military dictator turned President Pervez Musharraf a real force for peace between 2002 and 2007, as senior Congress leader and member of parliament Shashi Tharoor claims? Was he the only Pakistani general who sought a solution according to the wishes of the people of Kashmir, as Mehbooba Mufti says? Was Shashi Tharoor only speaking kindly of the dead? Or is there merit in the BJP saying this reflects the attitude of the Congress party? There's also this question that do our leaders walk into traps set by Pakistan eyes wide shut? Because we must answer these questions. Lives depend on decisions taken by our leaders on a state sponsor of terror like Pakistan. Joining me on India First, Aparajita Sarangi, BJP MP and leader, and Kapil Madan is an advocate, backs the Congress party. And Kapil, I want to come to you first. Sir, 200 Indians died in the Mumbai train serial blast in 2006. More than 800 were injured, and Shashi Tharoor finds Musharraf a real force for peace between 2002 and 2007. Explain, sir.
Gaurav, let me set the record quite straight. You know, we saw during Mr. Vajpayee era, it was Mr. Vajpayee, in the valley initiated peace talk dialogues with the separatists. It was during the Vajpayee government we saw Agra summit happening when Musharraf was invited here, and there were peace talks. Now, while you want to misquote what has been said by Mr. Shashi Tharoor, but
sir, kindly quote him correctly.
Really perplexed.
No, feel free to quote Shashi Tharoor in entirety. Feel free to quote Shashi Tharoor in entirety, because it's playing out here on India Today.
Gaurav, allow me to complete. Gaurav, please control your anger. I will answer each and every point that you have made.
I'm sorry, but do not claim that we have misquoted.
Please
I
allow
am
me.
sorry. I am sorry.
No, allow me.
Sir,
Now,
quote him in entirety.
You're presenting
Quote him in
out of
entirety.
context.
No. Quote him in
Gaurav,
entirety. First you
Gaurav,
said I'm misquoting,
Gaurav,
then you say quoting out of context. Sir, please give us the context. Please quote in entirety.
Now, Gaurav, what Mr. Tharoor has said, Mr. Tharoor has very, very categorically and unequivocally has stated that he was the enemy, but he also brought on record the peace talks the peace talks initiative that happened during the Musharraf tenure. Can you deny the fact? Can you deny the fact that the Agra summit happened during the NDA tenure when Mr. Vajpayee was the Prime Minister and Musharraf came here and we had a summit at Agra?
ऐसी बातों के चलते ना, ऐसे ही बातों के चलते भारतीय मरते हैं और ये पाकिस्तानी हमें मारते हैं. That is the tragedy of our leadership. You're absolutely right. Let me take this to Aparajita Sarangi. Shashi Tharoor says Vajpayee engaged with Musharraf for peace. Why target Tharoor now? And it is a fact, Aparajita Sarangi. It was Atal Bihari Vajpayee who invited Musharraf to India, gave him legitimacy as president. He was a military dictator. He usurped power. He got rid of a democratically elected government. And India gave him legitimacy. Vajpayee gave him legitimacy. How did he respond? With an attack on the Indian Parliament.
A very good evening. At the outset, I offer my condolences to the bereaved family of former President Musharraf. Now, at this juncture, I would definitely like to remind you that after the demise of Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, Shashi Tharoor never described him as the real force for peace. He has to come out into the open and tell everybody that yes, he did. He never did. This is one. And number two, let me take you to two dates. On November 14, 2019, Parvez Musharraf said Osama bin Laden was Pakistan's hero. And on February 5, 2022, again, Parvez Musharraf said, Talibans are like brothers to us. Now, this is Parvez Musharraf. And now he has been termed as the real force for peace. And you rightly showed the pictures related to the Mumbai blast. I would also like to remind you about the fact that he was the lead strategist in the Kargil War of 1999, where many of the soldiers from both the sides had been killed. And Shashi Tharoor should not forget that barbaric treatment had been meted out to the Indian soldiers. And let me remind you,
let me take that to Kapil Madan.
Musharraf was the person who did not take his Pakistani soldiers' dead bodies who were in India, and ultimately the rites had taken place in India, and in fact we had got those rites performed.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I covered the Kargil War. I covered the Kargil War in '99. I completely agree with you. Yeah. But I want to bring in Kapil Madan. You know, ma'am, my pain, my angst is whether it's the Congress leadership or whether it's Atal Bihari Vajpayee or Dr. Manmohan Singh, this desperation to engage with Pakistan, this desperation, Manmohan Singh calling some nondescript non-entity in Pakistan as a man of peace when Pakistanis are killing us. They're killing our people. Matlab, our leaders stay in SPG security and they know nothing about the pain of the common man is the angst. Because Kapil Madan, the prosecution of the 2006, you may blame Vajpayee, but did Shashi Tharoor or Congress learn nothing from Vajpayee's mistakes? Because the prosecution of the 2006 train serial blast said very clearly the attack was planned by Pakistan's intelligence agency, the ISI. It was carried out by operatives of Pakistan-based terrorist group Lashkar-e-Taiba with the help of Students Islamic Movement of India or SIMI or Indian Mujahideen. Sir, ISI reports to the army chief, which was Parvez Musharraf. Real force for peace?
Gaurav, I totally second what you are saying, and I hope the PMO is listening. We saw how, despite whatever was done to us by the Pakistan and ISI, Mr. Modi still went ahead and invited him to his own swearing-in ceremony. Now we also have a BJP MP, Mr. Subramaniam Swamy, where he publicly makes an announcement that Pervez Musharraf was personally known to him. It is there.
सर मुझे एक बात बताओ, कांग्रेस will blame BJP, BJP will blame कांग्रेस, मरेंगे तो भारतवासी, मरेंगे तो भारतवासी।
मैं पॉइंट की बात कर रहा हूं।
नहीं, आप पॉइंट की बात नहीं कर रहे, मैं आपसे शशि थरूर पे बोल रहा हूं, मैं आपसे नाम पूछ रहा हूं, मुझे गाड़ी का नंबर बता रहे हैं। That's my angst।
मैं गौरव जी, मैं आपको प्रॉब्लम बता रहा हूं और आप सिम्टम के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं। मैं आपको प्रॉब्लम बता रहा हूं और प्रॉब्लम कहां है मैं वो बता रहा हूं। आपने बिल्कुल ठीक बात कही कि हमारे जवानों ने अपनी जानें गंवाई। हम हमेशा पाकिस्तानी कॉन्स्पिरेसी की वजह से हम किसी ना किसी अपने नागरिक को या किसी ना किसी अपने सोल्जर को हम खो देते हैं। और ये सब कुछ होने के बाद 2014 में प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी एंड अरे मैन, so why I don't understand, Gaurav, your sense of reasoning and logic. I am trying to give you instance where Mr. Modi is inviting.
Sir, I will ask the BJP about Mr. Modi. I will ask you about Congress.
No.
I will ask you about Shashi Tharoor. I will ask Aparajita Sarangi about BJP.
मैं बड़े पेशेंटली अपराजिता जी को सुन रहा था, and with all due respect and in utmost humility, I could not understand, how she was responding to your question. Your question was totally different, and she was making some remark about Musharraf. The question that you precisely asked, who gave
Sir, I am sorry, you are not answering about Shashi Tharoor.
No,
Shashi Tharoor calling Musharraf a man, a force of peace. You are unable to answer.
Don't
deflect kar rahe ho.
from the subject.
Fair enough. But let me take that to Aparajita Sarangi. I do not permit time wasting on my show, sir. Aparajita Sarangi,
the 2000,
sir, you are wasting the time of my viewers. Sir, my viewers' time is very precious. My question to you is very simple. It's about Shashi Tharoor. Aparajita Sarangi, I will ask her about BJP. I will ask you about Congress. It is as simple as that. Aparajita Sarangi, the 2003 Ramzan ceasefire holds, especially in Kargil and Siachen. The fence or the anti-infiltration obstacle system came up in 2003. Vajpayee travelled to Pakistan in 2004. Musharraf assured him Pakistani territory will not be used for terror. Did Musharraf actually want peace with India?
Not at all. Let me tell you, had that happened, things would have been different. And as far as General Musharraf's attitude is concerned, I think I mentioned 2 dates and I said what he said. He calls
So in hindsight, ma'am, let's not repeat.
Osama bin Laden as Pakistan's hero. This is one part. Number two. No, please let me complete.
You've repeated that. You'll be repeating yourself.
Let me complete.
You'll be repeating yourself.
As far as Shashi Tharoor's statement is concerned, please give me 30 seconds. Please give me 30 seconds. As far as Shashi Tharoor's statement is concerned, let me tell you that this is not just his statement. This reflects the mentality, the mindset of the Congress. Congress has been doing this. We may call it Pakistan Parasti, Pakistan Prem, Pakistan appeasement, but we have numerous instances of this kind. I'm reminded of 2015, 2 instances. Manish Shankar Iyer goes to a TV channel in Pakistan and in fact tells them, if you want peace with India, in fact you will have to dislodge Modi government.
Okay.
This is one. And number 2, again in 2015, Salman Khurshid goes to the Jinnah Institute in Islamabad and says there is cold relationship between India and Pakistan because Modi government does not want this and you will have to do something to the Modi government. So they went all the way to Pakistan to seek their help to dislodge Modi government.
Okay, in hindsight, no, Aparajita Sarangi, in hindsight, was Vajpayee wrong in travelling to Pakistan? Was Vajpayee wrong in giving legitimacy to a villain like the architect of Kargil, Pervez Musharraf, giving him legitimacy as president or inviting him to Agra?
See, we have always tried to have good relationship with our neighbors.
Not at the cost of Indian lives. You must learn from past experiences.
The kind of leader he was. We always wanted peace with our neighbors. But in fact, the kind of behavior that was actually displayed by Pakistan thereafter, I think all of us know, 140 crore Indians know, that they do not deserve, and you talked of the Mumbai blasts, and I'm talking of the Kargil war. So they do not deserve the kind of treatment which had been trying to be meted out to them by Bajpayee.
Kapil Madan,
I mean, to
fair
say
enough.
that
Ma'am, my
Pervez
point
Musharraf is the real force of peace.
Okay, Kapil Madan, this so-called 4-point formula on Kashmir, Musharraf and Dr. Manmohan Singh, we are told, came very close to agreeing. Was troop reduction in J&K, including at the Siachen Glacier? Now, is that actually in India's interest? How come Indians never question Pakistan, for example, changing the demographic profile of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, including Gilgit and Baltistan? Why is the entire onus on India?
I'm sorry, I couldn't get. Can you please repeat your question, Gaurav?
My question is very straight. This so-called 4-point, Musharraf's 4-point agenda for Kashmir, 4-point formula, you think it was in India's interest?
Well, why would I endorse, Musharraf's formula or for any formula, for that fact? What I believe is, Kashmir is an integral part of India, and that's the official stand of the government. And every Indian should have that kind of stand. And I saw a very subtle smile on Aparajita Sarangi ji, but Aparajita Sarangi ji fails to answer. I mean, though she is quoting some statement made by Musharraf, and she's trying to say that whatever was said in whatever context. I just want to ask her one question here. We saw
Please concentrate on your statements and your leader's statements.
No, I am responding. I am responding, Aparajita ji. Please have patience and please listen. Now, their own sitting MP makes an official statement where he says, a person who has been our enemy, who has been plotting against our country, he is known to him personally, at least till 2014, when Mr. Modi was not in power. Mr. Modi came in power only in 2014. What business a BJP MP would have to be, or person who's associated with BJP or who claims himself to be a
long-winded question. I've run out of time on this part of the show.
Would have personal relation.
My agony stems from the fact.
The statements of Shashi Tharoor.
My agony stems from the fact that we have our netas who will give certificates to Pakistani leaders who are out to kill our people. Why? Why not see the Pakistanis for what they genuinely are? People who are actually harming our interest, and put the onus on Pakistan. So, for example, when all this conversation happens about plebiscite's also supposed to take place in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Demographic profile has been changed in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, including in Gilgit and Baltistan. Put the onus on Pakistan instead of being on the defensive here and calling Pakistanis men of peace or somebody who's genuinely keen on peace when they're killing our people. I leave both my guests with that thought. I hope you take it back to your respective political parties. The only language that Pakistan truly actually understands is the language of surgical strike and Balakot airstrikes that happened after Pulwama. That is what is that's the treatment that Pakistan actually understands. But I want to leave you on a happier note today. I want to show you images. It's a very major milestone achieved by India. The naval variant of the indigenous light combat aircraft on board INS Vikrant. Watch these images. The maiden landing of the fixed-wing fighter on the carrier, which is as part of operationalizing it, which was also followed by a MiG-29K. And this truly demonstrates India's capabilities to design, development, construct and operate indigenous aircraft carrier with the indigenous fighter aircraft. Take a look.
देश के पहले स्वदेशी विमान वाहक युद्धपोत आईएनएस विक्रांत पर देश का पहला स्वदेशी लड़ाकू विमान एलसीए तेजस उतरा है। इस पर बात करने के लिए हमारे साथ वाइस एडमिरल एसएम घोरमड़े सर हैं। आपसे जानना चाहूंगा कितनी बड़ी घटना है खासतौर से मेक इन इंडिया को लेकर।
ये हमारे देश के लिए एक ऐतिहासिक क्षण है और अत्यंत गर्व की बात है कि जो हमारे आत्मनिर्भरता का विजन है उसको हमने आज साकार किया है, क्योंकि देश का जो स्वदेशी जहाज है एलसीए नेवी और ये प्रोटोटाइप जहाज है उसको आज इंडिजिनस एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर पे लैंड करवाया है। ये एक महत्वपूर्ण उपलब्धि है जो हमारे इंडियन नेवल पायलट्स ने की है, क्योंकि आज हम एक इंडिजिनसली डिज़ाइंड डेवलप्ड कैरियर पे हम एक इंडिजिनसली डिज़ाइंड एंड डेवलप्ड एयरक्राफ्ट लैंड किया है, तो ये बहुत ही बड़ी उपलब्धि है।
Chopra, how could this have happened? I know it's very difficult to conjecture without a full court of inquiry completing its proceedings. But in your mind, sir, because you've been in Mirage 2000s, you've flown from Gwalior, you've flown dynamic missions where you are expected to fly very, very close to other aircraft. You've been a test pilot. How could something like this happen, sir?
Yeah, Chief, first I must tell you that as you have brought out some facts already, that, the aviation over the years has become much safer. We know in the First and Second World War, there used to be thousands of aeroplanes in the same area, and yet there were not so many collisions. And over the years, if you see the number of collisions, no, this is unfortunate that we have lost a pilot in Gwalior, but the last one was a SCAT in 2019, which was an inverted flying display. And the one before that was in 2015 when two Su-30s had collided. Yes. So there are phenomenal amount of aids in addition to the support that the ground controller, the radar controller gives you. There is a support within you, the avionics, there is a radar, there are other sensors that are all the time telling you the presence of the other aircraft. But, must remember that, we are in military aviation. Combat training has to be realistic. The aeroplanes are flying very fast. They are turning at high Gs. There are, high speeds. And there are physiological, forces that are acting on your body. So there is. So what is critical is that situational awareness, the combine of the controller and the pilot and the other members of the formation. There is a need for a close situational awareness of where the other aircraft is with whom you're maneuvering. But again, as I must say that in this particular case in Gwalior, this Mirage 2000 aircraft and the Su-30 that are reportedly have collided. Details are still not known, and any conjectures may not be absolutely correct. But the overall accident rate of the Indian Air Force is phenomenally good. Nowadays you're having a current accident rate is 0.15. Now, how do you calculate accident rate in the Air Forces? For every 10,000 hours, how many accidents have taken place? So the rate is very good. You will recall that in the 1990s, we were losing close to 20 aircraft a year or even more, and the rate was much higher. And nowadays, we have come down to between 10 and 20, and there are many years when you have got less than 10 aircraft accidents, and among them the mid-air collisions are very, very far and very, very few, despite such high performance aircraft flying.
A corporate museum called The Journey has got everyone talking. This museum showcases the origins of the DS Group, its struggling era, initial phase of establishment, the downfall, followed by rejuvenation of family members, revival of business, and reincarnation of the belief of the founder, Sri Satyapalji. It's actually the art of storytelling, which involves a wide range of media and multimedia tools backed by context-driven, strong narrative that has made the outcome truly an undulating one. It took 2 years for this museum to be completed.
I took over the business and I used to see the files of my father, the records and other things. So I came to know that what was the hard work he put in. And in 50s and 60s, where there was no brand consciousness, he used to work hard. We got those handmade designs and other things. Creating brand where trademark and branding was not known to anybody. So then we started collecting them, and there were huge bundles of papers and other things. So we started developing a biography on him.
Okay.
So in 2014 we launched his biography, and वो इतना डाटा कलेक्ट करते करते हमारे को मतलब ये लगा कि अब हमारे को ये म्यूजियम के लायक सामान है, तो फिर हमने म्यूजियम पे काम करना शुरू करा. And so that from my grandfather's time to father and the next generation and whatever development is going on, all is depicted in the museum.
Presented by Cool Fans, Smart Inside, Stylish Outside. Co-presented by Jaguar, Discover the Magic of Smart Life. Co-presented by Macho Hand, बड़े आराम से. Banking partner, Bandhan Bank, आपका भला सबकी भलाई. Co-powered by CH, it helps. Runta Seal TMT Bar, एकदम solid. Max Life Insurance, you are the difference.
Hello and welcome. You're with us here on Business Today. I'm Abha Bakaya. We bring you this special edition with highlights from the Budget Roundtable Summit. From strengthening India's digital pillars to boosting the economy to a mega capex push, the FM's Saptarishi budget tried to encompass all aspects of growth. From green growth to agriculture to the SME sector, she did try to address it all. But will it really boost the private capex cycle? Does the budget maintain that fine balancing act? That's the question we ask the budget makers. Listen in to a slice of that conversation.
Between the 20% and 30% slab, if you are up till 15 lakh, you are at 20. The moment you cross that, you go to 30. Corporate India is at 25%. The question people are asking, why isn't PIT the same as CIT, corporate tax rate of 25%? Why have you retained 30 still?
Interesting. Let me work on it next time.
You will work on this next time?
I'll try to say. I'll work, but I'm not promising anything.
No, but this is an idea that appeals to you, Finance Minister?
As I said, simpler and more attractive new regime. It can start and end at every stage of it.
So the Finance Ministry will consider in the months to come
I'm not saying
a reduction in personal income tax from 30%
No,
to
I'm not saying that.
It will be applauded very loudly.
No, I don't want applause. I have to work.
Can the government slash that top individual tax slab from 30% to 25%? That's the big question that Siddharth Zarabi asked. He addressed that to the chairman of the Central Board of Direct Taxes, Nitin Gupta. Now, interestingly, the big news coming from that panel was that the idea wasn't completely rejected. In fact, the CBDT chairman talked about how several people were claiming fake deductions, forcing the government to push the new tax regime into the next year's budget. Listen in to that enlightening conversation.
One question about the way the new tax slabs are proposed to be said, and it is my understanding when I looked at it, for 12 to 15 lakh taxable income, the rate is 20%. And the moment you cross 15, you go straight away to 30. Shouldn't it have been 25% if you were following a graded 5 to 10 to 15 to 20? Why this sudden jump from 20 to 30? The point that someone said that you are perhaps targeting those who are what you see as the creamy layer, really.
We could, our calculations could lead to this thing. It could have been done that way, what you are proposing, what you are suggesting. So it's a call to be taken. See, budget exercise is very, very time oriented. There is a timelines involved. There is a lot of work to be done. It's really, I'm saying, our team is working overnight, at times 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Even I left office at 12:30 in the night. So it's a very rigorous.
There is no argument against this, and people like me who have covered the finance ministry know that if the midnight oil is burnt in Bharat Sarkar, 3 months before budget, North Block burns a lot of oil. But sir, I will persist with that question, and you must allow me this. For corporate sector 25%, मैं आम आदमी हूं, मैं क्यों 30% दूं? मैंने क्या खता की है? I am complying with everything. I am paying indirect tax on every single transaction that I undertake. But आप मेरे को निचोड़ रहे हैं. 5% आप कम से कम मेरी पैरिटी रखवाते ना कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर के साथ. उनको तो आपने 2019 में माला माल कर दिया, आम आदमी को छोड़ दिया.
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. It's not the case that what Siddharth is suggesting, but we will definitely keep it in mind and maybe if it will be deliberated or discussed as well, we will keep it in mind. Everything cannot happen in one go. Probably it may happen in future as well. So
I'm glad you are hinting at that, and I will just say this with your permission, that just like you gave a mid-course corporate tax cut, maybe you might decide to do that in this September or whenever you choose to do that, but definitely you have given us a headline that you will take a look at it. If our capex spending for FY24 was the GDP of a country, it would be larger than that of Kenya and double that of Myanmar. So a round of applause for the fact that the budget makers, the Government of India, Prime Minister Modi, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman have decided on such an ambitious capex exercise, which is always fraught with difficulties. Dr. Somnathan, how confident are you about this money being expended, and if you could tell our audience in what areas?
So first, in terms of confidence, I think we are quite confident that the 10 lakh crore target is attainable, and the biggest evidence of that comes from the current year, where as against a budget provision of 7,50,000 crore, we expect to reach approximately 7,30,000 crores. And the shortfall is largely in the loans to state governments for capital expenditure. The central capital expenditure is expected to reach 100%. Even in the case of the state capital expenditure, the shortfall is primarily because there are some reform-linked elements where money is only released when certain policy actions are completed, and there are some states which have not taken their full entitlements in that category. Coming to next year, I think the step up is approximately 1/3. But as far as the central side is concerned, we have three main areas where the increment is going. The first is railways, where it's going up by nearly more than 1 lakh crores in terms of budget estimate to budget estimate. They have enough projects to execute. I think they can absorb it quite easily. Highways, again, a large increase. They will be able to absorb the increase effortlessly, I would think. And then we have certain very specific investments in the petroleum sector, which relate to retrofitting refineries to prevent emissions and to make them on par with the best global standards, and an augmentation of the strategic petroleum reserve. So on the central side, I'm very confident that the plans will be executed. For the states, it's 1,30,000 crores. But the states also have experience of doing it this year, so they understand how the system works. They are in better shape to use it faster this year. So I'm pretty confident that most of it or all of it will be used.
I'll come back to you, sir, on your own reading of the COVID-induced delays and whether the delays in execution you think will get sorted out, because we are now mostly out of it. But I'll pause there and go to you, Mr. Malhotra, the mic on your left, sir. And again, this is a question that you've been asked, but this is by popular demand, really. We were discussing earlier. The 25 to 60 lakh rupees taxable income bracket, by one calculation, it says that under the new regime, the taxes will actually increase by 23,000 rupees. Is that correct, sir? And if so, why should that bracket of income taxpayers opt for the new regime?
Sorry, which bracket you said?
25 to 60. I mean, it's not one bracket.
25 lakh
taxable, 60
lakh.
Yes, sir.
So that's a very short, very small bracket, first of all.
Okay.
But our sense is that, see, the benefits, we are giving benefits to all. And especially I'm surprised as to why, you are saying this, because the taxation rate is actually going down. Yes, I mean, those who are taking the benefits of, say, HRA. I think what you are referring to perhaps is, those who are taking benefits of HRA. Other than those, whether, they are in the old regime, they stand to benefit if they shift to the new regime. Because one has to invest about 3.75 lakh rupees in the old regime for it to be, more beneficial.
So other than those who are having, substantial incomes by way of HRA, where we give a lot of tax exemptions, others should find the new regime more attractive.
And home loan, sir, a quick follow-up on that.
Home loan again is limited. You see, that benefit is limited to only 2 lakh rupees. So you add another 1.5 lakh rupees under ATC, 2 lakh, it works out to only 3.5 lakh. Over and above that, then, you have to be actually investing in insurance and other things. Yes, if you add that up, if you are taking the whole range of exemptions, then, well, yes, you're right. They may not find it so attractive.
The way I would like to add what you said is perhaps it reminds us of the time when we go to department stores for sales and they say, buy 2, get 1 free. So the point that you're making is that in the current tax regime, that buy 2, get 1 free is applicable because you have to first save that much to get that much tax. But I'll come back on another question because I want to get Mr. Pandey in on this.
One point, I would like to make here, whether it is the old regime or the new regime, all the salaried class, and 50% minded, 50% of our taxpayers are salaried. Over there, we have given them a huge relief. The increase in leave encashment, and everyone gets, some leave encashment when you retire. So that increase by about 22 lakh rupees works out to a tax saving of about 7 lakh rupees at the marginal rate, of 30%, because most of them, would be in that bracket.
Yes, sir.
Especially those, the ones you are talking about, 25 lakh to 60 lakh tax bracket. So they stand to gain by 7 lakh rupees when they retire, and all of them are going to retire. You spread it, over their career span of 30 years.
Right.
It works out to, about 20,000 rupees per annum. So even if they don't shift now,
right,
they may not shift now, but there is a benefit to all the salaried class because we have not taken away anything, even when they stay in the old regime.
Okay. Mr. Pandey, can you explain to our audience what is going forward the disinvestment approach and philosophy going to be? The government has to be complemented for Air India. You also and other people in the government have spoken about why BSNL is not going to be disinvested. But for the audience, beyond the revenue receipts that you are penciling in from divestment, what's the big approach? Not many companies left to be sold and therefore rely on dividends and FPOs?
I think if you really look at holistically, out of the CPSCs, there are 2 streams of incomes that the government receives. One is, of course, the dividend. While they are the government money is invested in them, there has to be a return, and which comes to them, from profits. Certain proportion comes in form of dividend. Now, of course, when we sell our equity, then it translates into disinvestment receipts upfront. And the current year dividend subsequently, and the subsequent dividends in future years, they are sacrificed. So it's in a way, you are upfronting those dividends by making a thing. And then this money is again reinvested, as you know, in capex and so on. Now, the strategy is a calibrated disinvestment strategy. It has 2 legs. One is that while we keep our value in our enterprises up and running, we have several listed companies, several listed banks in which millions of shareholders are also invested. Large institutional investors are there as well. So it's very important that the companies keep doing well and the corporate governance and profitability, return on capital employed, and so on is looked after. Also related to that is also the capex. As you know, that there is a capex from the CPSC which has not been counted, what Somnathan has said, 10 lakh crore. 10 lakh crore is the government capex directly. 3.7 lakh crore additional is the capex, which is the grant which goes from the central government, and it helps create the capital assets. Additionally, 4.88 lakh crores, roughly about 5 lakh crores will be the capex from the CPSCs going forward. So if you really count the total capex, it's 18.5 lakh crores, which comes to about 6.2% of GDP, which is a very, very large sum.
Which is the highest in the world for
yes.
this year.
So some of it, which you said, about 4.88 lakh crores, comes from CPSC, from internal and extra budgetary resources. And internal resources includes after the dividend from profits, internal accruals. So therefore, you will realize that if you have to really increase our growth, they pay a substantial part in the CPSCs also while they are in the government.
So are you telling us, sir, that there is...
No, I am just coming to...
Yeah, sure, please complete your point.
I'm just coming to now, so far as the disinvestment is concerned, as you know, the disinvestment is somewhere where you do market sales, where we have to keep in mind, what is the bandwidth which is available to us? What is the kind of a market impact which happens? What is the interest of minority shareholders? When it comes to disinvestment in the form of strategic disinvestment, which is privatization, which is also when we enter into a reform area. So in that reform area, we are saying that going forward, if it is disinvested, it is privatized, the enterprises will be able to create more growth. The enterprise will also be able to generate more jobs because of the certain unlocking of thing and the sort of capex that will follow.
We take a short break on the show. We come back with more excerpts from the Budget Roundtable Summit. Do stay tuned.
Congratulations on this good set of numbers that you've reported. Your own take, was it in line with your expectations or better than your expectations? And also, what were the key factors that really supported the bottom line?
As you know, we were the first ones in the life insurance space to do a M&A, and we had guided the street that we will be margin neutral about a year down the line, but very happy to share that we are already at margin neutrality, which means that the combined entities margins, new business margins are in line with where we were last year, and from here on we will continue to build that upwards. So slightly ahead. Apart from that, very happy in terms of whether it's in top line. We have grown faster than the sector at 17%. And all the elements of growth, our agency channel, their share has grown from about 14% to 18%. Annuity has trended upwards above 60%. Protection sequential growth has been about 13-14%. Credit life has grown upwards of 50%. And hence, because of all of this, this has not surprisingly resulted in fairly healthy margins and also a healthy PAT, like you mentioned, of over 15% growth.
What are the trends that you're already witnessing? 20th of January already here, in January, and for the entire FY23, can we safely say it's going to be a good growth year for HDFC Life?
Yes, it's going to be a holistic year. Good growth in profitability, very steady in terms of quality of business, in terms of persistency.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Let's kick off by bringing you an excerpt of Siddharth Zarabi's conversation with Nitin Gadkari, the Transport and Highways Minister, on the big boost coming in and the target set this time post-budget.
Tell us, sir, where will all the extra capital expenditure that has been allocated to the ministry be spent in the forthcoming financial year, sir?
Actually, the Bharatmala 1 is already in the process. Now, the approval for Bharatmala 2 is pending with the cabinet. The idea is we are making green express highway. For example, already there is an existing road from Delhi to Dehradun. But now from Akshardham, we are making new green express highway, where it will be possible from Delhi to Dehradun 2 hours, Delhi to Haridwar 2 hours, Delhi to Chandigarh 2.5 hours, Delhi to Amritsar 4 hours, Delhi to Srinagar 8 hours, Delhi to Katra 6 hours, and Delhi to Jaipur 2 hours, Bangalore to Chennai 2 hours, and Bangalore to Mysore 1 hour, and Nagpur to Pune 5 hours. Presently it takes 24 hours. So this type of new green express highway, where we are starting from land acquisition to making new roads, and there we need more investment. For example, in Delhi, Mumbai, the cost of the road is coming 1 lakh crore, and it is totally the new alignment, axis control highway. And that is the reason that we can increase the speed on that. So today we are making 32 green express highway, economic corridors, connectivity for the ports and for the airports and for the railway stations, for all districts also.